On March 23rd, 2021, a single ship turned sideways in a canal barely wider than it was long. Within hours, 400 ships were stuck behind it. Within days, factories 8,000 kilometers away went quiet. And the price of everything, from coffee to car parts, began to climb. One ship, one narrow door. That's all it took. Because the world economy doesn't run on open oceans. It runs on 8 doors, just like this one. Here's the number that explains the modern world. About 80% of everything humanity trades, by volume, travels by ship. By value, it's roughly 70%. Not planes, not trucks, ships. Why? Because nothing else comes close on price. Moving 2,000 t-shirts across an entire ocean costs about as much as one nice dinner. That's pennies per shirt for a 12,000-kilometer journey. Sea freight is so absurdly cheap that geography, not technology, became the last real constraint on trade. But cheap has a catch. Ships don't travel in straight lines. They follow the cheapest water, and the cheapest water funnels through a handful of narrow passages. Straits and canals that geography carved and politics never fixed. Sailors call them choke points. 8 of them matter more than all the others combined. Hormuz, Malacca, Suez, Bab el-Mandeb, Panama, the Bosphorus, Gibraltar, and Dover. Learn these 8 names and half the world's economic news suddenly makes sense. Start where the stakes are highest, the Strait of Hormuz, 39 kilometers of water between Iran and Oman, and the exit door for the Persian Gulf's oil. In 2024, 20 million barrels flowed through it every single day. That's 1/5 of all the petroleum humanity burns. And more than a quarter of the world's seaborne oil trade squeezed through shipping lanes just a few kilometers wide. There is no real alternative. Pipelines can carry a fraction of it, the rest has one road, and everyone knows it, which is why every threat to close Hormuz, and there's one every few years, instantly moves oil prices worldwide. 1,600 kilometers southwest lies Hormuz's quieter twin, Bab el-Mandeb, the Gate of Tears. It guards the southern entrance to the Red Sea. About 4 million barrels of oil a day pass through in 2024. On its own, that's a 20th of seaborne oil. But remember this gate because it's 1/2 of a 2-lock system with the Suez Canal, and we're about to see what happens when it jams. Now for the doors your possessions actually walked through. The Strait of Malacca, between Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia, is the main street between Asia and everyone else. More than 60,000 ships a year, roughly a quarter of global maritime trade, $3.5 trillion worth, funnel through a passage that narrows at one point to under 3 kilometers of usable shipping lane. And here's the geopolitical detail that keeps Beijing up at night. About 80% of China's imported crude oil comes through this one strait. Chinese leaders even have a name for the anxiety, the Malacca dilemma. The world's second largest economy depends on a door it doesn't control. That single fact explains billions in pipelines, ports, and naval spending. We'll dedicate a full episode to it. Next, the shortcut that built the modern map. The Suez Canal. 193 kilometers of engineered water connecting Asia to Europe, carrying in a normal year around 12% of global trade, some 50 ships a day. In March 2021, one of those ships turned sideways. The Ever Given, 400 meters of container ship, wedged itself across the canal for 6 days. Behind it, hundreds of vessels dropped anchor and waited. The bill for the traffic jam, an estimated $9.6 billion of trade held hostage per day, $400 million an hour, one ship, one narrow door. Hold that number. The ledger segment will do something with it. And the Americas have their own engineered door. The Panama Canal, moving about 5% of global maritime trade between the Atlantic and Pacific. Panama's plot twist? The canal doesn't run on seawater. Every ship that crosses is lifted by locks filled with 50 million gallons of fresh water. Rainwater from a lake. In the 22-23 drought, the rain didn't come, and the canal quietly cut daily crossings from 36 to 22, then 18. A door that closes not by war, but by weather. That story gets its own episode too. Three doors remain: Europe's, the Bosphorus, the only exit from the Black Sea, and the only strait on Earth that runs through the heart of a 16 million person city. 48,000 vessels a year, 3 million barrels of oil a day, and the grain exports of Ukraine and Russia, all sliding past Istanbul's waterfront cafes. Gibraltar, the Mediterranean's single western gate, where Europe and Africa sit just 14 kilometers apart, watching roughly 300 ships pass every day. And Dover, the strait most people only see from a ferry. Between England and France, 400 to 600 vessels daily make it, by traffic, the busiest shipping lane in the world. Time to open the ledger. The question: when a door jams, who actually pays? We have a live experiment. In late 2023, attacks on ships near Bab el-Mandeb made the Red Sea route too dangerous for most carriers. Remember the two-lock system? Ships that can't pass the Gate of Tears can't reach Suez. Within 3 months, container traffic through the canal had collapsed by roughly 90%. Where did the ships go? The old way, around the entire African continent, past the Cape of Good Hope. Add 3,500 nautical miles. Add 10 to 14 days. Add fuel, crew, insurance, and multiply by thousands of voyages. Here's the chain reaction, step by step. Longer routes mean each ship completes fewer trips per year, so the world effectively lost shipping capacity overnight. Scarcer capacity means freight rates spike. Higher freight becomes higher shelf prices with a lag of a few months. A door 7,000 kilometers away closed, and the price of your washing machine moved. And the recovery? Slow. More than 2 years later, Suez traffic was still running far below its pre-crisis levels. Doors close fast. They reopen slowly, because shipping lines redraw their entire networks around the risk, and trust returns at sea speed, not headline speed. That's the ledger's lesson. Choke points are where geography collects interest. You never see the line item, but you always pay it. So can't we just build around them? People are trying. Melting Arctic ice is opening a northern shortcut past Russia. Shorter on paper, frozen and complicated in practice. That's a future episode. There are rail corridors across Asia, pipeline detours around Hormuz, even a century-old dream of cutting a canal through Thailand to bypass Malacca. But here's the structural truth. Every alternative is either smaller, slower, riskier, or vastly more expensive than the door it tries to replace. 80% of trade sales because sailing is unbeatably cheap, and the cheap routes are exactly where the choke points are. Geography doesn't take bribes, so the 8 doors will keep standing. The winners won't be the ones who escape the map. They'll be the ones who read it first. 8 doors, one economy. Next time, the 2.7-kilometer gap that feeds China, and why Beijing loses sleep over it. If you want the map to make sense, subscribe. See you at the next door.